to another episode of the Fanzone podcast. Your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast. As you can see, it's episode 134, believe it or not, titled Things Can Only Get Better. Yeah, this has been a bit of a tough season, this, hasn't it, really? But what can we do? We'll have to keep our fingers crossed that things improve. And me and Dan will dissect that as we move forward, of course, reflecting on yesterday's game against Blackpool. Real good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you are listening to this. Please, throughout tonight's episode, do get your comments in the chat. Both, of course, myself and Dan will manage that accordingly. We are hoping for as much interaction tonight as possible because, as you can see, there is only two of us on the episode. So, yeah, please do that. That'd be very much appreciated. Dan, how are you tonight?
Good, mate. Very, very good. Couldn't be more apt title of the pod, could there, given recent form. But we're not going to lose hope, are we? Big game tomorrow night. As you said yesterday, must win. But we'll dissect it more in post-match reactions. But yeah, given there's only two of us, we could probably do with some help in the chat. So fan focus, man of the match, all that sort of stuff. Your contributions are much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely echo that. Good evening, everybody, of course, and happy Mother's Day to the mothers out there. I have had an extremely busy one myself. Unfortunately, not had time to see my own mother because I am doing other mother stuff with my little boy's mother and all that type of stuff. But if you had a good day, then happy Mother's Day to you all the mums and grandmothers, I guess, out there as well. So yeah, we'll dissect yesterday's defeat. I was going to maybe elaborate on the performance, but we'll get into that now. Of course, the post-match reaction is sponsored by our good friends at Johnson's Tiling. So thank you very much for your continued support throughout the season. Dan, defeat once again in a derby game against Blackpool. Your thoughts, please, and everybody else's thoughts in the chat, and I'll manage that while Dan gives his viewpoint.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? I think that's the big word at the minute. We just can't seem to shake this local derby hoodoo. Hopefully tomorrow night we can. But yeah, frustration. I mean, to have 70% possession of 14 shots and just be toothless in front of goal is frustrating. But as I said to you guys in the chat last night on the WhatsApp, I think it's just been a really, really poor and frustrating season, and the end can't come quick enough. It was always going to happen. You know, we've had 5 progressive seasons on the spin, and a backward step or a sideways step was inevitable. And I still stand firm that last season's Wembley trip is still lingering in some capacity. I know the manager's gone. I know the coaching staff have gone, but a lot of the players are still here. And it's no coincidence that a team who loses in a playoff final struggles the year after to go up. But even more so, I think we were bankers, weren't we, heading down to Wembley last year? You know, all due respect to Oxford, everybody, even Oxford fans I spoke to before the game, expected us to go up. So to be on the wrong side of that result is was very difficult to take for us fans. But I can only imagine it was even worse, you know, internally. And I'm not making excuses. We've still got 8 cup finals to go, starting tomorrow night at Wigan. We're only 2 points off the playoffs. The season isn't dead by any stretch. And by rights, given the season we've had, if no one knew the league table and the league table was a surprise, I think a lot of us would say that we're nowhere near and we shouldn't be anywhere near. But we are. So we'll count our blessings for that. If we can scrape into 6th spot, then it becomes a lottery. And as we've said many times on the pod, to come from behind and be the underdogs and have it when our back's against the wall really suits little old Bolton. So, you know, yesterday was frustrating. I wouldn't say it was a bad performance. I just thought it was frustrating. But we've got 48 hours now to bounce back against Wigan, and hopefully put a result on the board and head into a couple of home games as well, which would be nice. Obviously, Shuey up against Ryan Lowe as well, which would make a tasty encounter. But yeah, not lost hope. 2 points off. Given the season we've had, we're not a million miles away, but it's just been one of those seasons, hasn't it? It's been very frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a few people are paying reference to the fact that kind of squad that we've got obviously still reeks of Ian Evatt, to coin David Jones's particular phrase. And of course, people are also stating, David again, sorry, that Schumacher's Bolton Wanderers season starts next season. I think that's kind of fair. As far as I'm concerned, I think that I posted on X prior to the game yesterday that if we win the next two, i.e. Blackpool and Wigan, we'll go up. If we fail to win, if we don't win both of the games, we won't go up, and I stand by that now. I think that for me is our season as done and dusted. Unfortunately, I just can't see us. I just don't see that we've got the minerals. It was a toothless performance yesterday, again in terms of that kind of cutting edge and that ability to be able to manage a game, which I kind of hope that we was kind of seeing more of that under Schumacher. And they're not his players at the end of the day, and this is the thing. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think as far as League One goes next season, obviously Birmingham and Wrexham are likely to go up, obviously in the automatic spots, and get rid of those kind of two that are the three coming down. Like the ones that are coming down, like Plymouth, Derby, Hull, Luton, possibly. And the ones coming up from League Two aren't going to be as strong as kind of Stockport and Wrexham. So I think the league in theory is looking a little bit weaker for next season. So hopefully we can compete with Schumacher's own squad. But as far as I'm concerned, listen, I really hope that I'm proven wrong. Obviously, I don't want to kind of admit defeat, and all is not lost, as Dan's just alluded to. But you look at it, and I just can't see that. I just can't see it happening, to be honest with you now. I just think that obviously this Wigan game on Tuesday is literally a must-win, the epitome of a six-pointer, and we all kind of know how it goes against the conference team from down the road. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's as good as over for me. What are people saying in the chat, Dan?
Just a mix, really. I think a lot of people saying that they want to start afresh next season. Again, obviously Schumacher's not had a transfer window. He's not had a chance to shape his squad. He's dealing with Evatt's players. And again, it's something that we discussed yesterday, didn't we, privately, about the timing of Evatt leaving, whether it was a sacking, whether it was a resignation, mutual consent, whatever, to be allowed the full transfer window and spend £1.2 million and then leave so soon after the transfer window is criminal, because had we got Schumacher in, and it's all ifs, buts, maybes, but had we got Schumacher in December, early Jan, and he had the chance to bring in his own players, what he wanted, and spend the money on what he needs, then we could be in a different position. But again, ifs, buts, maybes, who knows? We can only deal with what we've got now. We can only play with the players we've got. Schumacher can only use the cards he's been dealt until the summer. But again, it's not over. It really isn't over. I think
struggling with that one, Dan, though. I'm struggling with it. I don't see how we can. I know it's only 2 points, but you look at it. You look at the way they are. The lack of backbone that the team's clearly got. It doesn't really fill you with much confidence, does it? How they can go from one extreme to another. Winning and looking really comfortable against teams like Birmingham, and then losing in.
Let's not forget 3 games ago we were talking. Before these 3 defeats, we were talking about the top 2. So we're very, very fickle as Bolton fans in terms of when we win a few, we're HMS is back set sail. But if we lose 3, then it's all game over. Tomorrow night, not tomorrow night. I don't know why I keep saying tomorrow night. I wish it was tomorrow night, and then we can bounce back quicker. But Tuesday night, we just have to deal with that. We have to get a result there. I don't know who the other teams.
No result. We have to win.
Yeah. That's what I mean. What I mean. Yeah. So I don't know who the other teams are who are playing in and around us, but Charlton have hit some form. Wickham have got games in hand. Huddersfield seem to be in free fall. which is a saving grace. But Reading again are back in the mix. As David's just said, we're becoming a soft touch when the chips are down. We don't have that, and we've said it for ages, haven't we? We've not got that bite, that leader in the middle.
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of us becoming. I think we have been that for a long time, haven't we? Really, this is not something that's happened. We've been this weak touch for a very, very long time. Just very quickly touching upon David Jones' comment regarding Morley being out for 3. It's not violent conduct, David, so it's only 1 game. If it doesn't get rescinded, I mean, I don't think it will, to be fair, but if it doesn't, it's only 1 game because it's not violent conduct. So just a Wigan one.
Yeah. Well, he's probably due arrest, isn't he, to be fair? I know we don't want to, given his recent performances, but even if it is 1 game ban, it could be a bit of a blessing. We'll just have to take it as a rest rather than a suspension, won't we? Because he's probably the only one, really, that hasn't rotated since Schumacher came in. But rightly so as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think about yesterday's game and to dissect it in more detail as opposed to just kind of going over the inconsistencies of this season. But I think that game yesterday kind of epitomised this season, didn't it, really?
Frustration,
and everything we've seen.
Lack of cutting edge. It's
a bit of a rinse and repeat, in it, really.
Yeah, and it's evident that we are lacking options up front. I know we said earlier about Everett having the transfer window to bring in a player worth 1.2 million, but he also let our star striker go, who evidently was in the crowd yesterday. Had we still got Dion, again, ifs, buts, maybes, we're all talking hindsight and all that sort of stuff. Had we kept Dion and had a different option up top, obviously Victor's out long term. Keon Atete's been out, but really doesn't look like anything that's going to create any kind of issue for opposing defenders. Mendes Gomez on his way back looked a bit rusty. If you'd have got on the end of one of them yesterday, who knows? Football's is all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it? But we just seem to have Collins and McAtee, and that's it. And there's no alternatives. And again, it isn't Schumacher's fault by any stretch. I still think that he's the man for us. I don't even know why that's even entering discussion with some people on social media, but as Macaulay said there, you thought that would have just kicked us into life, but it hasn't. But again, Bristol Rovers, let's dissect the defeats. Bristol Rovers on a Tuesday night, difficult place to go. They're fighting for the lives. Could have gone either way, couldn't it? That it could have done. Could have gone either way. But
sorry, Dal. I disagree with that, mate. I'll be honest with you. That Bristol Rovers situation, we've got a very, very, very good record against Bristol Rovers. It could have gone either way, yes, but that's not a difficult place to go. Look at the results since they beat us. I mean, they lost at home yesterday against Mansfield, for crying out loud. This is the mentality when they get it when it's put up them, to want for a better phrase, they crumble. They're weak.
Yeah,
and it's proven because Bristol Rovers aren't a good side. Let's be truthful. To lose against Bristol Rovers away, a team who are probably or likely or potentially could get relegated, is just showing the weak mental state of this squad. Sorry, we said dissect the games. Sorry, Dan.
It's the previous 2 that worry me more. A home game against Stockport, how we're not up for that. We created absolutely nothing, didn't we, in 90 minutes? We got overrun, battered in every area of the park. Confidence is fragile, isn't it? So a couple of defeats, we're back down in the dumps again, aren't we? Yesterday, again, I know we lost the game yesterday. Did we deserve to lose it? No. Did we deserve to win it?
Well,
probably not either. Do you know what I mean? But again, it's the stage of the seasons where deserving to win and deserving to pick up points is irrelevant. It's about grounding out those results at the business end of the season.
Yeah, it is, and this is it, and it literally is a business end now. What is it, 8 games to go? Wigan. I don't know about you, Dan. Do you think we can go there and win? Really?
Well, based on recent history against them, no. Based on local derbies, no. But who knows? I'd like to think under the new manager, yes, especially when he's coming up against his best pal. But they're not exactly firing, are they? But they always seem to turn it on against us because they care more about us than we do about them. So they seem to be a lot more fired up than we are. But it isn't about who it is on Tuesday night. It's about us. And if we turn up, we can beat anyone, as we shown when we beat Birmingham at home. But to then have Wigan, Bristol Rovers, Rotherham. Is it Rotherham? Next Tuesday?
Yeah.
If we can pick 7 and 9 points up from that, then it spins again, doesn't it, with 5 games to go? The running's not exactly the most difficult either. So it's difficult. It's difficult to find positivity after 3 straight defeats and an international break in between as well. But, if we spin it round and beat Wigan on Tuesday night going into 2 home games, then the landscape changes again, doesn't it?
Yeah, just quickly, a couple of things. If you want to just elaborate a little bit on Daryl's comments, I'm going to bring them up, Dan, for the purpose of the chat. Do you want to just read that out? For the chat and the audio. And secondly, Daryl, I've sent you a private message. I know obviously a lot of Bolton fans very much respect your opinions and thoughts. If you fancy coming on for a short period to kind of give us your opinions on this last few games, then feel free to do so if you've got the time. I sent you a direct message to your personal from my account. So, but yeah, sorry, Dan, do you mind just sharing them thoughts, Daryl?
Yeah, obviously for the purpose of those on audio, Daryl elaborates to say we had a blistering few weeks playing a more direct and aggressive style of play. It's no surprise that we return to those familiar patterns from the back and can't find a breakthrough. The team has the wrong balance and for that style of play, but don't be too down though. Steven Schumacher is learning more about his team. If we don't make it this season, next season certainly looks exciting with Schumacher and Harkin. I agree with it. Again, it's not his players, is it? They should totally forget that it's Wigan. Again, we've just said that. It's clearly not good for them to add to that pressure. Yeah, it's 8 versus 18th. Exactly right. Spot on. 2 teams of 11 men playing 90 minutes of football. The rest is just geography. I'm exactly right. And me and you are the same call, aren't we? Wigan's not a local derby to us. It really doesn't, it's our local derby.
It's local, like Daryl said, from a geography perspective. But
but it's not a rivalry, is it, for us? Anybody over the age of probably 25, it isn't a rivalry as such, because our rivalries were Burnley, Blackburn, and other teams like that. So, but equally, they turn up, don't they, against us because they enjoy getting one over us, and because it is their cup final, isn't it? But again, as Daryl's just said, it isn't about the opposition. It isn't about that. It's about 8th place. Playing 18th, we turn up, we win. We go home, business as usual, and then go into 2 home games back to back against Bristol Rovers again, down in the dumps, and Rotherham, who have just got rid of Steve Evans today. So there's no reason why we can't get maximum points from them 3 fixtures. And to be fair, we should.
Yeah, we should. Massive thank you to the 122 people currently listening and watching live. Thank you for that. If you wouldn't mind doing us a massive favour and doing the old liking and subscribing, that'd be really, really appreciated. Of course, if you are listening back as well on audio, be it through Spotify or Apple, leave us a review, good or bad. I don't think that really matters. It's more the algorithm help that would be appreciated. We're going to move on to cough cough man of the match. Big Hines in the chat. Please do interact with the chat if you can and give us your man of the match, and of course me and Dan will bring them comments to view. But yeah, this is of course sponsored by our partners, who also have got a bit of an association with another podcast. It's iHeat, but we do appreciate the support. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, obviously. Thanks to our sponsors at iHeat for sponsoring this segment and your support of the Fanzone Pod. It really is appreciated. And guys, you know the drill by now. Get your nominations for Man of the Match in the chat, and we will bring those to view, but also use that as consideration towards this week's Fanzone Man of the Match. So without further ado, Mr. Yates, dissect the players' performances yesterday and give us your verdict, who you would give Man of the match, not player of the match, man of the match.
Yeah, man of the match. He'll always be man of the match. They're a team of men, aren't they? Yeah, absolutely. Right. I thought first half, Decris Cogley was pretty impressive on that right side. Got to give a shout out to him once again. Another good performance. Second half obviously didn't really show much for whatever reason. Aaron Morley, as several people are saying in the chat, played well. I think the sending off was harsh. Very difficult to tell on them tin pot angles that we get on that kind of awful coverage that we get. Through the iFollow or whatever they like to call it these days. But was the cover looked like there were? Will it be rescinded? I really don't know. Probably not, because obviously the referee gave him a yellow, got advised against the yellow, and then changed his mind to a red, supposedly. So very much doubt that they'd overturn that, but we'll have to wait and see. Do you think they'll be appealing that, Dan? Actually, I think that'll be the.
I think so, given recent form. I think if we'd have won yesterday and we had more points on the board and we were firmly in the playoffs, they might have used it as what we said earlier about a rest. But we need him, don't we? And there's no harm in it, is it? It's not like if it gets rejected, it gets doubled to 2 games. So
no, very true.
No harm in it. And equally, I don't think anyone thought it was a red card. There was cover there, but the goalie wasn't in the goal, so that's probably what it'll come down to. But equally, it's only one game. But I think, as Radek Lektais just said then, I don't think we are going to do it. But and BWC 714 also says we'd be surprised. But yeah, and obviously with it not being violent conduct, it isn't a 3-game ban. It's only 1, so it's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world either, is it?
No. As far as the man of the match goes, not to kind of dwell on this particular segment, because obviously we lost the game, so there shouldn't really be too many. I thought Farino was good yesterday, I think. He is certainly growing on me in that kind of defensive kind of structure or defensive line. I thought it was pretty unlucky not to score as well in the first half. They were a pretty decent effort from your centre half that at League One level outside the right foot and very nearly nestled in the bottom corner. I'm struggling. I'm just going to have to give it to Aaron Collins once again, because he scored and he ran the line well again. Tried to link up play. Like you say, we're lacking a focal point, aren't we, through the middle? And I think it's a tough job for a forward who isn't really a natural 9, I don't think. Is he? Probably, possibly. But he's performing well and he scored. He took his goal very well. Good header. That's the best as I can muster, really. There are a couple of decent performances, but we lost the game, so I don't like to kind of go over that too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar to you. Don't really want to dwell on it, but I again echo what you said. Cogley did all right first half, whipped some crosses in the box. Farino finding a bit of form, so that's good to see. Forrester again, superb, but again we've become to expect that level of performance from him. That block in the first half that went just over, and the way he stood up and showed his aggression and his desire there was really great to see. But he's my favourite player and I love him to bits, and to see him in this form and having come from that loan and an assist yesterday, and he's just different gravy again, isn't he? And I just tend to agree with everybody in the chat, really. It's pretty. There is a couple of shouts for Aaron Collins and other players like that, but the overwhelming support for our man of the match, and I think he's had it for the last couple, is Aaron Morley.
Yeah, pretty fair. No doubt it will be a miss, I think, on Tuesday night. But an opportunity, I guess, for somebody to step up and try and cement themselves as a team.
We need to do a bit of research into this, don't we? Because we just think it's a 1-game ban. But for those listening on audio, Norman Lee's just said it's a straight red for serious foul play. But here we go. BRFC 714 is always the man with stuff like this. And he's just said a straight red card is a 1-game ban for professional foul, denial of goal scoring opportunity, 2-game for dissent, and 3-game ban for violent conduct. So in my book, I'm not sure if everybody else agrees, it would be professional denial of goal scoring opportunity. So it is a 1-game ban. So even if we don't appeal or it doesn't get rescinded, then it is a rest. But here's a talking point. Seemed to do well from what I'm told last Sunday at Everton. over at Bramley Moor Dock. Is it time to throw Kyle Dempsey back in at the deep end? Because clearly our midfield options are lacking in terms of form. I love Kyle Dempsey.
I don't think he will. I don't think he will.
I don't think he will. I would love to, because I love him. I think he offers us something that no one else does in terms of the energy and the box to box and that physicality side of the game. But Thomason, we might as well discuss this, because a few people have said it in the chat as well about his recent performances. Yesterday was very sloppy, giving the ball away. But I don't like hammering players, but he needs to be taken out of the limelight. But at the minute, we're lacking in those options, aren't we, in terms of who we can bring in and obviously Sheehan was on the bench given his international. I think he only got back from wherever he was. Was it Macedonia on late on Thursday, Friday? So he was naturally going to sit this one out on Saturday. But
as far as Kyle Dempsey's concerned, that won't be happening. He won't be starting him. I very much doubt it. If he wasn't Kyle Dempsey in terms of his injury record, then possibly, yeah, given the type of game it is, because of how industrial he is and how much he wears his heart on his sleeve and he gives us that kind of bite and whatnot. But he's too injury prone, and his injury record has been so poor. It's not worth the gamble, because if you put him in a high intensity game like that and he goes again, then your season over, innit? And it's just not worth the risk. I'll be honest with you. You'd rather, like Schumacher said already, you'd rather have him for, missing for one game or whatever than missing for a large selection of them. So yeah. But as far as Thomason's concerned, this is the tricky. The thing is with it, right? He shows there's glimpses like in his play. I think the biggest problem and Chris Burton, who obviously sponsors us through EcoWarm, and his support is really, really appreciated as a headline sponsor throughout the season. He asked me earlier on what's my opinions of Thomason. I just said I do like him, but I just think his biggest problem is he needs to sort his discipline out, because I think it's really starting to cost him. He's had a stop-start season, and it just affects him through all the time. But I also said, that being said, I do think we're in need of a massive overhaul of that midfield, probably with the exception of Morlin. I would still put Sheehan into that category for next season. There's just, like we said already many times, I've said it for months, there's like a distinct lack of bite in the middle of the park, and I think it transcends across the whole team, not just obviously from within the midfield, but yeah, there's just no grit. And yeah, nobody to kind of roll the sleeves up and drag us over the line. But it's a tricky one with Thomas, and I think he's a bit of a scapegoat, to be honest with you. And I think often people find players. It's been the case for years. Like Wanderers fans have always had scapegoats, and I think he's certainly one of them.
Yeah, it's obviously with it being
Sorry, go on.
With it being a local derby. On Tuesday night, though, and it's going to be one of those games. Usually it isn't the night for Sheehan, is it? Because he's a flair, he's a luxury, he's a Rolls Royce rather than someone that can put the foot in where it hurts. But he has been one of, if not our best player this season, from start to finish. So, but no, as Andy's just said there, we do need that Nolan type, that leadership, and it's obvious it's been lacking for not just this season, for a couple of seasons, hasn't it? That we lack that. We've never really replaced MJ Williams. Matete, for me, I wouldn't be dragging him back next year. I agree with you, Cole. I think that there needs to be a big overhaul, and there is someone has brought that topic up, which we'll discuss more on Fan Focus. It's not just the midfield; it's all over the park. Like, how many of the existing side are good enough? Whichever league we're in, or it is kind of seems to be moving day this season, for the want of a better phrase, in terms of whether it's a full rebuild or it's just tweaks under the new manager. But time will tell.
Time will tell, indeed. That was the Fanzone Man of the Match segment, although we did go off on somewhat of a tangent. We'll bring things back in line and we'll get the old stat on.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Get Stat On with Statman himself. It has been a long time, has it not? Too long, we should say. But anyway, this segment of the Fanzone podcast is of course sponsored by Jen Louise Salmon. And come on, it's been a while, but you all remember the line. If you're buying a gaff, give her a bell. But anyway, we are here to talk about Wigan on Tuesday night. Proper big game. Must win, obviously. And it's a derby. What more do you want? And for this episode, this is going to be a bit unstatman-like. You might as well call me the tactics man, because I'm sure you'll be well aware they've only had their manager for 2 games. And while he is a good manager, that is incredibly little to go off. So I'm going to do my best, but you might have to bear with for this episode. But yeah, we've still got quite a lot to talk about anyway. But it is mainly formations rather than stats. However, so let's get on with it, shall we? Stop waffling. So yeah, as I said, Ryan Lowe is the manager, and he's only been there for 2 games, which is absolutely niche. And in both games, rather than playing his sort of system, if you will, he's chosen to match up the opposition with formation. Yeah, with his formation. Against Charlton, which is his first game, they lost 2-1 away from home. They played a 4-2-3-1, which is exactly what Charlton play. And again, in the second game, they chose not to play a back 4, changed to a 3-4-1-2 to match up against Barnsley's 3-4-1-2. I'm sure you can see where this is going. But yeah, while it didn't really work against Charlton, it did against Barnsley. They drew 1-1 at home. And Barnsley, they're a decent team, aren't they? They're no mugs. But, so, yeah, what I'm saying is, against you, they're likely going to try to do the same sort of thing. But obviously, you have the advantage of being a team that is comfortable with more than one formation. You've obviously got the back 4, and you've got the back 3. Now, what do you play is the big question. I, personally, would... This is going to sound stupid as well, but I wouldn't decide the formation until you see Wigan's team sheet. And you're going to go, Statman, what on earth are you on about? But, hear me out, just give me a second, right? Obviously, you have a lot of versatile players. And when you play the back 4, it tends to be Sean and OC Tutu as the wingers. They're both wing backs, obviously. So, what you could do is pick a team that suits a back 4 and that suits a back 3, because you have the players to do that, and that'll throw them off as well. You'll be able to look at their team sheet after you've put your team out, and you'll be able to see what formation they're going to play, because their players are not as versatile. It'll either be a clear back 4 or a clear back 3, and then you can base it off that. Obviously, that is incredibly ballsy. And it's probably not what's going to happen. But, let's be honest, what have you got to lose at this point? It's a must-win game. You have to win. As I've just said, I'm aware I'm repeating myself. I am knackered. Do apologise. But, yeah, you've got to win. If you don't win, I don't want to say season's over, but the season's over, innit, really? You've not got long to make it up. So why not go balls to the wall? Anyway, we'll move on from the formation chat. And we'll go on to who their best players have been this season. So, Sam Tickle in goal is obviously a quality footballer. And he's been linked to a couple of Premier League clubs, even United, I'm pretty sure, in this season and definitely last season as well. But, yeah, he is mint. He's made 108 saves this season. And, yeah, he's just pretty good. And he was ranked as the highest statistical player on several different stats apps that I was having a look at for this game. So, yeah, scoring has been their problem, but defending has been absolutely... They've had a defensive record of a good team and the scoring record of a shocking team. That's been their issue this season. Elsewhere, not in net, Dale Taylor is a big threat. He's on loan from Nottingham Forest, and he's actually top of Wigan's goal scorers and Wigan's assisters in the league. So I think that tells you all you really need to know, to be honest. He's got 8 goals, 7 assists, and he's going to be a big problem for whoever's marking him. He can play up front or in the 10, so he'll probably be up front this game. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy job for whoever's marking him. And shutting him down will be the key to winning this game. And unfortunately, I can't really give you much more than that. I would love to, but He's played 2. They've literally had 2 games on the Ryan Lowe. I was looking so long for stats to link between the 2 games that he's managed, but there's just so mishmash because he just matches up the opponent, which is obviously what he's going to do against you, and I'm sure it's going to be a cracking game. And I do apologise for the slightly poor Statman episode, I will not lie. But I'll be back on Wednesday, and it will be better, I can promise you that. So I'll see you then, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Goodbye.
Massive thank you to Carl there with the old stats and dissection of the upcoming fixtures. I thought that was quite interesting actually when he's talking about Ryan Lowe's approach. How much of an impact, Dan, do you think that them two knowing each other the way they do, Lowe and Schumacher, will have on Tuesday's game?
It's obviously going to have a bearing, isn't it? They both know each other inside out, been best pals since they were players. But all that sort of stuff goes out the window in a game like that, doesn't it? Really, and they can only do so much. They can only prepare the team so much. As soon as they step over that white line, as the old cliche says, it's down to the 22 on the field. And as Daryl said earlier, it isn't anything other than 8th versus 18th. We're going away from home. I mean, if any other team were 18th in the league, we'd be saying we should be going there and picking 3 points up. They're not.
I said it before, didn't I, about Bristol Rovers? It's a similar type of thing, isn't it, really? You know?
Yeah. But I mean, the thing for Wigan is their season is dead, isn't it? They're not going down. They're not going up. They're on the beach, aren't they, pretty much, for the want of a better phrase. But I think for us, we've just got to go there, put this hoodoo to bed. But equally, we've got to get a result. It's massive. Given recent results, it is absolutely massive. But I do hope, and I want to put it on record, that the Wanderers fans do show their respect to Darren Orme, who lost his life, sadly. We are a classy club about that. I don't want to hear of any negativity or any horrible chants or anything like that. We're not that sort of club. Let's pay our respects. At the end of the day, he's a human being who sadly passed away. So we need to honour that and respect that and show that we are that classy club and we're not a tin pot outfit.
Yeah, well said, Dan. Very well said. I was actually going to reference that at the end of the pod, and you've beat me to it, and rightly so. It needs to be said as early as possible. Yeah, really sad. Really, really sad. So yeah, if you are going to the game on Tuesday, of course, like the many, many thousands of respects. Really sad situation. To give you guys an opportunity, ask yourselves a question. Do you like boxing? A lot of people do. If you do, I would say it's probably worth you investing £10 of your payday wage to our sleep out pot. And the reason why I say that is because during tonight's episode, at the end of the episode, we will be doing a live spin the wheel. So we're going to be drawing 2 tickets out for Alex Murphy's fight at the Cope Live on Saturday. And to be in with a chance of winning, like I said, all you need to do is donate just £10 and you'll be added to the wheel that we're going to be spinning later on in tonight's episode. And you will win 2 tickets to see the legends that is Alex Murphy. And he is on the undercard of a pretty impressive night's boxing, isn't he, Dan?
Yeah, Joe Joyce and Filip Hrgovic take on the Co-op Live Arena in the Heavy Impact Showdown, of which Alex Murphy is on that bill. This coming Saturday, the 5th of April. Our best wishes, our good luck, and I'm sure every single Bolton fan is rooting for Alex to make his 13th professional bout a successful one, although he's in my bad books because he did say it would rain at the sleep out, and it did. So let's hope you see me between now and Saturday, or else he won't be in a state to box, I'll tell you. But no, we really appreciate Alex's donation of the 2 tickets, of which, again, comes back down to your good lady, Anna, who won the tickets on the night, but has thrown them back in to try and raise a little bit more cash for the Sleep Out and Urban Outreach. And it really does promise to be an exciting night of boxing at the new venue at the side of the Empty Ad.
And by the way, the empty ad, behave yourself. That arena, Court Live, is unbelievable. The size of that venue is just mind blowing. The company I work for have been doing some job leading up to some recent events, and I had the fortune to be able to go into the Court Live not too long ago to have a little look around, and it is unbelievable. The site, I think it's like 25,000 pretty much capacity. So yeah, to give you a bit of an insight into what you'd be dealing with on that evening. Yeah, just if you can, of course, afford it, donate £10, and you'll have a chance at the end of the episode to visit the Court Live to watch Alex hopefully win his fight. All being well.
Obviously. As Jordan's just asked there, I'll give you an update. So far, the total stands, and there is still, obviously, it is open for more donations, but we stand at £1,335, which is a sterling effort. Thanks to you guys for your help, support, and donations. And everybody that has donated so far, £10 or more, is on the wheel of names, ready to be spun at the end of the show. We've got 102 entrants at the moment on there. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning, to go and see, to take you and a friend or your good lady or even your mum, with it being Mother's Day, on Sunday night, on Saturday night. I don't know, I keep getting my nights mixed up. Must be the clocks going forward that's throwing me. But yeah, please dig deep and donate.
Great stuff. Yeah, let's have a see what the old X has been. Yeah, it's throwing up these last couple of days. Catch of the week. Something that's happened is a re-emergence of a post that's not it's been on once already, which is Will Jones's quote tweet of everything Bolton Wanderers, with Vince McMahon's shock face, understanding that we have got some challenging fixtures, or we had some challenging fixtures coming up. Of course, Stockport, in which we lost, Blackpool, in which we lost, and of course Wigan on Tuesday night, which we are likely to lose. Wanted to put that up there because that was posted before, of course, the Stockport game, and that representation of Vince McMahon's face is, I'm sure, what a lot of Bolton fans are probably thinking at this moment in time. Martin Johnson highlighted, as well as Lee yesterday, that Dion was in the crowd. Question for you, Dan. Would you have him back in the summer at a cut price? And for the chat as well, of course.
Well, given everything he's done for us, absolutely, of course I would. But he's not getting any younger, is he? Is he the sort of player? He's the sort of player Schumacher wants. I knew as soon as we let him go, we'd miss him, because no one harries up front and presses like he does. Yes, he was going through a bit of a bad run of form, but if rumours are to believed, he'd fallen out with the manager. So now he's gone, it is again hindsight is much maybes, but where would we be and how would he be faring now under the new manager? It's just, again, it comes back to Sharon letting him go. I say Sharon, it isn't just Sharon's decision of course it's not, but to give Mr. Evatt the full window and spend that kind of money and let Charles go and then make the change is just baffling. I think it always will be for me.
Yeah. Just on that, right, and I want to ask the chat, and of course ask yourself, Dan, your thoughts on him being in the crowd yesterday, because I'm trying to put myself in.
It's a bizarre one, right? He's obviously out
Right.
injured at Huddersfield. He's out injured at Huddersfield. So he's obviously not travelled down to Charlton, because there'd be no need for him to travel down to Charlton. He's injured. Our players don't travel when they're injured, so that's standard. He's clearly got a lot of friends at Bolton. He's local, lives in Preston. So why would he not? I just don't get why it's a problem.
Get that, and I would, if I was him, I would probably do something as stupid as that myself. But it's stupid.
It's stupid, though.
If you want to watch, it is. if you're like put if you've got mates playing for a team, right? You can clearly, especially because I used to play at Blackpool as well, you can easily get tickets in the exec box or something like that, sat behind the dugout, head down, nobody'd know you were there if you wanted to watch your team. Sitting in the away end, for me, for a rival team of which we are to the playoff spot, I'd be fuming if I were a Huddersfield fan, mate. It's stupid.
But I don't see the massive deal with it because at the end of the day, he's injured. He's not travelled. He's got friends. There's life outside football. He's got friends at Bolton. I don't see the massive. If he'd scored 5 goals for Huddersfield since signing for them in January, would they be asked about him being there yesterday? Absolutely.
But that's
not.
What makes it worse. That's what makes it worse.
It makes it worse. I just don't think it makes it worse at all. Let's spin it round then. If Joel Randall was out injured and he was down watching Peterborough or Wickham because they're local to Peterborough because he's got friends there, let's just say, would we be bothered?
If Wickham were fighting for us for the 6th spot, yeah.
Well, I'm bothered that Joel Randall plays for us. I'm not bothered that he goes, that bothers me more than what he does in his spare time. He's clearly been granted the day off yesterday, Dion Charles, so he can do what he wants. It doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Like Ollie McBurney's done it many a time, hasn't he? I just really don't think. Sorry, Brad. I'm referencing Randall in terms of Dion because both of them arguably have done nothing for their new clubs. So if Joel Randall was going watching somebody else as an example, would we be bothered? I wouldn't.
Just to add to that, Dan, I know you're desperate to have a dig at Joel Randall, like you continue to do so, but he has actually scored for us, and Dion hasn't. So just to kind of quash that, at least he's scored. But yeah. Fair play for you to giving a little dig in, every given opportunity.
But equally, we spent 1.2 million on him, so he should be scoring. They only spent 950, so maybe that goal is 250 grand. Who knows?
Rumored, but yeah, you know that's a fact.
Yeah, just come back to the original point. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't in the grand scheme of things. Had he been fit and not gone, or had it been a home game for Huddersfield and they were at home, then it's a different kettle of fish. But they were obviously down in London. He's been granted the day off because there's no point in travelling, and he's gone watching his old friends play a game of football on his doorstep. That's it. That's what it is. It's not a big deal.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like everyone's got their own personal opinions. You don't think it's a big deal. I don't care that he were in the Bolton end, but I'm just looking at it from a perspective of if I was a Huddersfield fan, I'd be a bit annoyed personally, especially having just been hammered 4-0 as well. I think that makes it even worse, to be honest. But anyway, we're not a Huddersfield podcast.
Him being in the Bolton end isn't as big as what people think because the complimentary tickets that the players get are in the away end. They're not in the corporate bit. So if he's got tickets off one of his mates, then he's just been given a ticket by one of the players.
I don't know. Yeah, we've both got contrasting opinions, and I think from what I can see in the chat, people are of the same mindset. Like people got different thoughts on it. I don't think it's right. You don't think it's a problem. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's pretty.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? And it's great to have that. It's not an issue me and you have spoke about prior to this being live, and it's good that it shows that contrasting opinions happen in football, don't they? And that's why the game is what it is and why we love it so much. So I don't think it's a big deal, but you do. But I respect yours and you respect mine. It is what it is, just as I respect everybody else in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And just with that in mind, and I respect David Jones, what he's saying about Randall.
Yeah, but I prefer David Jones.
I think you're pretty.
I prefer that one. Saying he's not under house arrest.
Let's move on.
I know you've made comment about Randall, right? Yes, so far I don't rate him, but equally he's not been here long enough, so I'm not gonna ostracize him yet. Although I'm sharpening him.
That's all they expect from any like-minded Bolton Wanderers fan, just to not be as rash as jumping on somebody who's been here only a matter of months.
And that segues us nicely into fan focus.
It does.
Yeah, your comment there, Col, really does segue that in. So, again, just to reiterate, our sponsor there, Wooden Grounds. If you haven't got a wooden ground and you'd like one, Matt at Wooden Grounds does a fantastic job. And there is the option via the Fanzone pod. As Col has perfectly timed, put that on the bottom of the ticker for those that listen on audio. If you head to Wooden Grounds website and input Fanzone 10, you get 10% off any wooden ground. And by wooden ground, we mean a model one. We don't mean turf moor. But it would be nice, and it's only apt that we start with Matt's comment for Fan Focus tonight. And this is probably one of the reasons why I'm not on the cesspit that is Twitter/X, because I can't believe this is even being discussed. And Matt says it's not so much a question, more of a request. Can the knee-jerk whoppers that are already questioning Steven Schumacher please give your heads a wobble? This is Evert's team, who we've all known and have a weak backbone when the going gets tough. This season is a free hit as far as I'm concerned. I don't even think this should be a talking point. The fact that people are questioning the manager after so little time when he's not.
They are, to be honest. I just think a lot of it's tongue-in-cheek, looking for likes, which I have been very guilty of in the past and will continue to do so. I think that it has to be that, doesn't it? Let's be truthful. I get people entitled to their opinion, but to start calling the manager out after a couple of months, I mean,
wow. I think he's shown already, even with the squad that's not his, that he's got completely different minerals and credentials to Ian Evatt. I'm never going to dispute what Evatt did for us, but there's levels, isn't there? And I think Steven Schumacher is different level and different gravy. Give him time. By all means, let's just give him time for anyone to question it. But that, again, leads us into a next question in terms of what does he do in the summer, depending on what league we're in. And friend of the show, Jack Cook, has raised a question of how many of the current squad is good enough to stay next season and how many aren't if we stay in League One. Obviously, Championship is a different animal, and that is, not out of reach, but it is in the distance at the moment. But let's just say, for the purpose of this discussion, we are in League One at the end of the season. How many and who, people in the chat, do we let go, both on free transfers and out of contract? But who do we try and ship out in the summer? And it's easy for us to say that we'll ship out players that are under contract, but people have got to buy them. People have got to come in for those players. So it's not as easy for those that are under contract. But as Brad's just said, there's 8 to 10. Name those 8 to 10 for us, Brad, if you don't mind, and we'll dissect those. But the players that are out of contract, your players like Ricardo Santos, the old guard, Gethin Jones, what happens? And there's been a comment as well about Rico. Like, is he going to come back? Are we missing him now? Do we need that no-nonsense defending at the back? Obviously, when we were winning 3 or 4 games ago, we were talking here that we don't need Rico. But now, as we all do in football and Bolton fans, we spin on a sixpence. But what do you think, Col? How many of the current squad need to go? I know you touched on before about the midfield, but if we go through the current first team squad, I can bring it up on the system and go through it. And who would you keep? Who would you get rid of?
Start with the goalkeepers. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Neither of them I would get rid of. Neither of them. I think providing they're both happy to be here and compete, I'd have them both to continue to do that.
Yeah. Well, just to go through that then. So we've obviously got Nathan Baxter and Luke Southwood that you've spoken about. Joel Coleman, which is inevitable. I think he's out of contract in the summer, so if he'll go. And obviously we've got Luke Hutchinson as well. So I think goalkeepers were solid, aren't we? Again, Nathan Baxter's out of contract, so it's whether he wants to renew his contract at this level.
Pretty sure Luke Hutchinson's contract's up for renewal in the summer. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure. So keep him.
Yeah, you'd keep him. Right, okay. Let's go quickly then across the defensive line. So you've obviously got Gethin Jones. What is it, a stay or keep for you, Col?
Thanks for your service. You're a legend. You're a lovely lad, but go.
Okay. Alex Murphy on loan.
Not shown enough, really. Yeah, unless he has a really strong. I wouldn't mind him back on loan if he ends really strong, because I think there's a great player in there. But yeah, send him back.
Okay, Rico.
Oh, crying out loud! This is going to pain me, but love you, Rico. You might still end up getting us promoted, but thanks for your service. Go.
George Johnston.
Keep.
Josh Dackers-Cogley, out of contract. No, he's not. No, he's not.
No, he's just signed the new one. Keep.
Does he?
I think he deserves it as a squad player, if nothing else. Even if we look to strengthen on that right back position.
He's definitely one for me that has completely changed my outlook since Schumacher's come in. So give him credit for that, and I'm sure I'm not the only one to say that. Ossie Tutu.
Yeah, arguably our player of the season. Keep.
Okay, Will Forrester.
Definitely keep. Yeah.
Owen Toll.
Absolutely, provided he can keep himself fit.
Yeah, Chris Farino.
Yeah, I think he's good enough. Yeah.
Shabby Sean.
Yeah, obviously.
And the two young lads, Luke Matheson and Max Conway.
Conway keep, Matheson go.
Okay. Right, midfield. George Thomason.
Keep. Well, keep, yeah, but if an offer comes in, get rid.
Okay.
If it's substantial.
What would you do about the armband?
Give it to a new person coming in, fresh ideas, fresh eyes, fresh leadership.
Okay. So, Josh Sheehan.
Love you, Josh. Your missus got a great clothing line for toddlers, but if an offer came in, sell.
Aaron Marley.
Keep.
Clyde Lolos.
It's difficult with him, isn't it, really? He's shown glimpses in part, but he's not really done a lot as in the time he's been here, but he's not been here very long. So I'd be a hypocrite given what I've just said to you about Randall. So we'd have to keep him.
Okay. Kyle Dempsey.
Get rid into injury prone.
Jay Matete.
Send him back to Sunderland.
Joel Randall.
Keep. Obviously.
And Sonny Sharples Ahmed.
Keep him.
Okay, and then Mendes Gomez.
Keep. I think he's got enough to offer. Stay provided he stays fit.
Adebayo.
No thanks, but they won't do because he's injured. So, but yeah, get rid if we could.
I'll come and get him, aren't they? Who's going to do that? Lunderley.
Oh, awful footballer. I'm 19 stone, nearly 20 stone these days, and I'd be better up top than him.
Tell you what, though, we went to a pre-season friendly in the summer, and you was like, "There's a player there. There's a player there." I remember you saying it. Sat next to me. There's a player there.
Sarcastic.
No, it wasn't.
He's the only centre forward I've ever watched for Bolton who doesn't know how to play centre forward. So get rid.
Obviously, the other ones, Keanu Tete, thanks, but no thanks. And then obviously the other two,
no thanks.
Aaron Collins and John McAtee.
There's lots to get rid of there, isn't there?
There is, isn't there? But again, it's moving day, as we've said. You know, new managers, new ideas, quite a lot out of contract. It was always going to be a big summer for us this year. But given the season we've had,
just quickly, just on Brad's comment. Sorry, Dan, so keeping 8% of the defence down this season. The reason for that, Brad, is I think that 20% would providing that they come in and there is a massive improvement on the ones I'm saying get rid would be enough to make that defensive line strong enough for next season. I just think we need better players in that defence, and letting a couple of them go, including Rico, would help that.
And the players you've let go as well, Carl, just to add a bit of context to that, you've obviously let Geth go, Service, brilliant, fantastic over his 5-6 seasons with us. Rico, Alex Murphy, you'd let go back. They're players right away across the defensive line. So if we can replace each of those with strength, then it potentially could be a new look defence next season. Throw in Forrester, Farino, and Toll in the mix as well. The defence isn't. We've had Forrester's had his fair share of injuries this year. Farino's only just come back, and Toll is in and out like a fiddler's elbow, isn't he? So,
the biggest problem for me this season is not only keeping Ian Evatt for too long, but Owen Toll's missed too much football.
And Dempsey.
Dempsey to an extent, yeah.
And our not replacing Dion's massive for me.
We will replace him in the summer, won't we? I think that's where the investment will come.
It's ultimately cost us. It cost us yesterday, didn't it? Because we created all the chances. We just didn't have anyone to put it in the onion bag yesterday. But it's a big summer. It really is a big summer. And that obviously we've covered it as well there. Lee Hardman, thanks very much for your comment. Is it just me that can't wait for Santos to get back? No nonsense defending wins most headers that comes into our box, and he won't be asked to do any more than defend. Again, he's been ostracised, he's been a scapegoat, he's been everything, hasn't he? But so was Josh Dacus-Cogley. So let's just remember that how he has changed under a new manager and a new regime. So I'm interested to see what he does. I hope he does come back and have half a dozen games, including the playoffs, fingers crossed, to show us what he can do with the shackles off and not being over drilled and over coached and all that like the others were. Because he's got a contract to earn, hasn't he? He's in the shop window now, and given how it has been since the turn of the year, he's going to struggle to get a contract somewhere else if he doesn't shake off these.
Don't know about that. I think.
In terms of what as lucrative as what.
He's on his last. This is his last contract, really, isn't it, of any significance, given his age, Santos. And I think for me, if I was a club looking for a unit in a centre half who reads the game pretty well and he's pretty quick, certainly from a long distance perspective, I'd be taking a gamble on the minimum wages that he'd be on personally. I think get a contract somewhere else.
For what it's worth, and obviously my opinion means nil, but for what it's worth, I think I pretty much agree with what you said across the players. But I would gamble and offer Santos a new deal and offer Kyle Dempsey a 1-year deal, but make it more kind of a pay-as-you-play, kind of reduced terms, high performance on Dempsey. I just think he offers us something different. And Rico, again, given his loyalty service, and he does has that colossus, physical presence at the back. I would offer him an extra year, and I think both of them would take.
Ryan's made a point. Ryan's made a point here. We've conceded more goals for the people listening on audio. We've conceded more goals than Burton Albion. Any defender that stays should thank their lucky stars. I'm inclined to agree with that. However, there is a saying in football that you defend from the front, don't you? So it's a collective effort in it. So, like yesterday, for example, the lad who played that ball over the top. Yeah, the defence are all over the place, but should he have had that time to be able to stroke that ball over the defensive line so easily?
No,
probably not. But if Dale was playing up front, would he have been hurrying the lad to make a mistake in the pass? Possibly.
Probably, yeah. But equally, Ryan's absolutely right in terms of the goals we've conceded. It's no secret that this season 100%. Defence has been awful. But how many of those players were last year? How many of those players were here last year? Johnston was out injured, and Frino we've just brought in, but Toll, Santos. There wasn't really anybody in that back line. Geffin Jones was all in that back line last year, and we were watertight. So
again, I think if Tolle would have played all of this season, then we wouldn't have conceded half as many goals as we have done. I'm sorry.
It comes back to the.
I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, and it comes back to the Wembley hangover again, and I'll die on that hill. It is one of them as well, isn't it? Again, it's all hindsight and ifs, buts, and maybes, which happens to be my favourite phrase tonight. But But just one other thing before we go, Col. I know we've just gone over the hour and we don't want to get in trouble with HR, but did you see Mark Clattenburg's comments this week?
I did, yeah, on that overlap thing that they do.
Yeah, so in terms of, obviously we've spoke about it a hell of a lot in terms of time wasting, haven't we? And it's happening up and down the land in terms of football about reversing the sanctions. So for those that didn't hear it and haven't seen it, I urge you to listen to it. It has an idea in terms of trying to cut out this time wasting in terms of reversing the sanctions. So if it's a goal kick and they're taking forever, then you give them a corner. If it's a corner and they're taking forever, it becomes a goal kick. And I just thought that was a really, really good talking point
as well.
Yeah,
throw-ins as well. If they're taking too long, they flip it back and give it to the opposition.
Yeah. Rather than yellow cards, which mean it doesn't eradicate the goalkeepers going down, does it? But again, it doesn't seem to happen. It hasn't happened over the last few games because we've been getting beaten. We don't tend to do it, but it is what it is. But I'm just glad that now is becoming more nationally aware, and I hope the FA and the governing bodies do something about it. But that's a conversation for another day.
It is. Right, we've just ticked over an hour. Unbelievably, 2 people have managed to have the pod last for just over an hour, which is probably says a lot about me and Dan as much as anything else. Dan, I am going to hand this little bit over to you in terms of the presenting of the wheel. Have we had any more donations?
No, we haven't. So we've got 102 on the wheel. If I share my screen, anything could happen here, guys. If it goes off, then I do apologize, but I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see that.
3, 2, 1. Give us 1 second. I'll just do some amendments to the old backdrop. We can see it.
Okay, so we've got 102 on the wheel. I'm going to give them a bit of a shuffle. Hopefully it's not one of the winners that won on the night, because we did have quite a few repeat winners. But just to reiterate, everybody that's donated £10 or more, if the people have donated 20, 30, 40 pounds, they get 1, 2, 3, 4 entries. I know special mention to William Henderson on the night, who donated £100. So he's got 10 entries into this draw for the 2 tickets for the Alex Murphy fight on the Heavy Impact this coming Saturday at Cope Live. So without further ado, and this is live, so anything could happen, let's spin that wheel. Matt Crowther, who won quite a few prizes on the night as well.
It's unbelievable, that. I mean, yeah, fantastic. Congratulations, Mark. Hope you have a lovely evening on Saturday, and I'm sure you'll be there to support Alex, hopefully win his next fight. Massive thank you to the 197 people who've watched tonight or listened to tonight's episode. As I said, if you wouldn't mind giving us a like,
including the main man
himself. Nice to have you, Alex. It's hugely appreciated that you've joined us tonight. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be really, really appreciated. And yeah, on to Wigan. We do have a preview coming up, which will be, of course, tomorrow evening. So please tune in for that. And yeah, if you are going to Wigan on Tuesday night, oh, why do we bother?
Just reiterate what we said before, Carl. Those that are going tomorrow night that have missed it. Let's be dignified. Let's be respectful. Football is insignificant when it comes to what happened to Darren Orme. So let's please, from everyone on behalf of the Fanzone Pod, our respects and thoughts go to his friends and family and everybody at Wigan Athletic. And let's hope that the travelling faithful of the Wanderers pay their respects on the night. I know there is rumours of clapping in the 54th minute and all that sort of stuff, and that would be very, very good. So, for the sake of what it is, let's no horrible chanting or anything like that. Let's be the classic club that we are.
Way to end. Come on, you Whites. See you in the next one.